The code of ethics, develop proper adoption of administration for all public servants to swear as they take office. We swear, we hold the Quran, and we swear, we hold the Holy Bible, and they swear. Do you know what it is to swear? But this thing that I'm about to say, I say in the name of Allah. Allah save me. And on that premise and that strong premise alone, I say the following. Yeah, we swear. The irony cannot be lost on us that this leader assumed office from a corrupt system. What produced them was corruption. The one that acknowledged it was the late ADEOLA. On his inauguration day, he said that he's going to put it to the electoral system. He's mindful of the fact that the electoral system that produced him was not without fault, was flawed, and therefore was going to look into the system. But a flawed system has produced you. Now, it was after that flawed system has produced you, then you want to look at the system to ensure that that system is not flawed, to produce more like you. Fortunately, we are all men of education here. I think from logic, if the process is wrong, the outcome must be wrong. It doesn't have to be a Muslim, it doesn't have to be a Christian. The process is religion blind. And he said it to us, but he never lived long enough to even deliver on what he wanted to do. And that same flawed process continues to produce. He didn't produce the improvement because of his religion. As a matter of fact, one of the ways we work so well together, Christians and Muslims, is when we are going to utilize this flawed process to produce whoever. And we're not looking for that outcome to be Muslim or to be Christian. We are looking for a flawed product to be produced, to continue to satisfy our end. Like I said, the irony cannot be lost on us that this leader that is in office for the corrupt electoral system, how can the seed of a bad fruit grow and bear good fruit? I come from part of the country known as Yoruba, and they say a lot of proverbs. And they say to us, when you see this child of a snake, the offspring of a snake, the baby snake, kill it now, because it can only grow up to be a snake. It's a snake. It may not be because it's young, it may not have teeth, it may not be able to harm you now. But as it's growing, it's going to harm you. And why are you waiting for when it's not difficult? While corruption is not a new phenomenon in the civic and political arena in any part of the world, in our case, it has grown to stunt the very process of socio-economic and political development of our country. Nothing more needs to be said about corruption. I'm sure everyone in this room is familiar with the issues of corruption. And my job here is not to tell you how corrupt Nigeria is, but how to snatch it from the claws of the jaws of corruption. Let us go a bit and try to understand the psychology of corruption. So what can I tell you about corruption? I will tell you that corruption started with us, you and myself. All of us were the reason that we are still corruption in Nigeria. Corruption emerges out of human interaction. Lamar Pierce, a professor at the University of the Washington University in St. Louis, said two major factors contribute to the emergence of corruption: economic motivation self-serving biases. Again, let me tell you, if we stand in the order of who understands the Quran most here, who can recite it most prolifically here, I probably will be at the end of the queue. But let me tell you something. My attempt has always been to understand Islam. My attempt has always been to understand Islam. And I know that Islam is the baseline. And after Islam, you move up to Iman. And after Iman, you move up to Islam. And when the Prophet was asked, when he asked Jibril, what is Ihsan? The answer came like this: worshiping Allah as if you see Him, and though you do not see Him, He sees you. You know, when they asked him about Islam, he just gave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He didn't define it. When they asked him about Iman, he gave the conditions also. But when they asked him about Ihsan, he was very clear. Very, very clear. Worshipping Allah as if you see Him. And although you do not see Him, He sees you. In other words, my understanding of the religion we profess is a way of life. A way of life. Being true to ourselves, regardless of who is around. This thing is not good, I will not do it. It doesn't matter. One of the lessons we learned from Ireland in my class in ethics was the story of a golfer who went to play golf with a friend of his, or with an opponent. But he had a friend of his with him who didn't play golf. And playing golf, the man you are playing with or the man you are playing with will not be near you. So he hits his ball, and his ball went what they call OP, over the border. You know, there are 9 there that they know. What do you do at that time? You take your ball, and then you come and drop it. And then it costs you a stroke or 2 strokes. But you are the one recording your result. So, he dropped it, and they accounted for the penalty. The person who was playing did not see it. When they got to the end, he gave his card out. But before he gave his card, the friend who went to him said, "Oh, I counted 4 shots there." He said, "No, it's 6. He said, "No, you hit it 4 times." He said, "Yes. But you know, my ball went over that place and I dropped it." He said, "Yes." He said, "That dropping resulted in 2 as penalty." Then the man said, "But the man didn't see you. Why don't you just put 4 there and beat the man?" He gave a very simple answer. 3 words. I saw me. I saw me. So it's not about the person seeing you. We're not even waiting for God to see us, but I saw me. And that's enough for me to put it down the way it is. Our assignment is not about Islam and, oh, I'm a Muslim. What the Prophet said all the time is, may Allah accept our religion. In fact, when we see people praying or going on pilgrimage or fasting, or we say to them, may Allah accept that ibadah, you know, an act of worship, that you are actually serving Him. Because you are doing what you do, but we're still praying for the acceptance of Allah. Because so many people who do it, I mean, not end up where we all went to end up in the hereafter. Alright? So we keep praying for that. And I'm asking, as I go into this subject deeper and deeper, there are things that we do, and we don't introspect, these eyes are looking that way. All of you are looking at me. I'm looking at you. But am I seeing me? And that's what prayer time and fasting time and charity time get us to do. Let me look inward. Let me ask myself the question before I even begin the process of saying to somebody you haven't done it well. Where is my substance? And where is my form? Spend that lifetime on form and forget what the substance is. The substance is what makes us Muslim. And that's why I read Quran chapter 2 verse 177. Such are the people of truth. If we list all these criteria and we ask ourselves which one are we doing, which one are we following, are we among the people of truth? You know? And so on and so forth. Let's start with the latter, the self-serving bias. The self-serving bias is simply when we adjust our reality to benefit ourselves. When we adjust our reality to benefit ourselves. When you convince yourself as a person, that giving 20 naira, 50 naira, or 500 naira to a policeman is okay. Well, I give him the money, let's go. We'll just be wasting our time here. When you convince yourself that that is okay, when you rationalize that policeman has not been paid in 6 months, and in truth, you are standing in the place of government. That is, if you have a conscience and you don't want to be seen as giving bribes, or when you give the NYSC administrator 50 naira for that newsletter or that posting, we should be free. Just so that you don't make waves in the system. People are able to convince themselves that what they're doing is really okay and it's not their fault. It's not hurting anyone. That they are not going to get caught. It's not about getting caught. It's about worshiping Allah as if you see Him. And although you don't see Him, He's seeing you. Who has Allah caught that you have seen? It just getting recorded against you. Well, I haven't seen anybody that, who is holding him like that? Allah has caught him. No. It doesn't go about chasing people like that. But we want to worship Allah as if we are seeing Him. You know, when you are about to do something wrong and your father appears, boom, right? High school, university, you start that bad habit of smoking and put your towel to block the air exit of the door. It's a smoke. It's smoke. It will come out. And as soon as you finish, you take top you begin to, we all went to school before, and so on and so on. No, it's not about that person seeing you. It's about who's going to fall ill. Who's going to contract the disease? Yeah? It's about us. It's even easier for people to ignore the desire to be good if they cheat only by a little bit. How much did this steal? How about that man? He took 20 billion. This one has only taken $500 million. I want to kill him. And it's because I don't think it's a Hausa thing or a Fulani thing or a Yoruba. It's everybody. In fact, the bigger they are now, the more your people stand by you. Why are you chasing our son? Why? Will it be the first hit in this country? And how long did this steal? In their free speech, and with due respect, if you can describe Boko Haram a terrorist organization, then we must define them a terrorist organization, you know. It is not that Boko Haram is not. No, it's like, okay, let us all be. Why my own? that is what I'm trying to say. And I mean, I'm just trying to share my thought with you. You know, it's easier for people to ignore the desire to be good if they cheat only by a little, rather than to the maximum extent possible. Why our decisions get delayed? I mean, there's an author of the book, Sidetrack, why our decisions get derailed and how we can stick to the plan. He says, by seeing other people around us cheat, especially when those people are co-workers or peers, we are more likely to cheat ourselves. He described dishonesty as contagious. Dishonesty as contagious, like leprosy, it's like a tuberculosis. You know, as bad as malaria is, it's not contagious. If the mosquito beats you and it didn't bite you, we can eat together. We can do so many things. The only time it will affect you is if they take your blood and it has that parasite and they put it inside my system. But tuberculosis, if you cough like this, I can pick it. You know, it's infectious. Right? Ringworm, if I touch you, I'll get it. He's saying that cheating, dishonesty is contagious. As a matter of fact, let me digress a bit. I've said to you that my Islam is not as structured as your own, but I understand it. Rasulullah said to us that there's only one of two places we must be at all times. Among people of knowledge or among people of faith. If you are among people of knowledge, you are learning. If you are among people of faith, you are serving Allah. If you are in those two places and you abide by that, then it's possible that you will not be among dishonest people. But how can we avoid being among dishonest people? We go to work, we go to school, we meet with people of faith, of knowledge, of non-faith. The lecturers want to sell the handout. The employer says that unless you have 2-1, you will not be given a job. Alright? And therefore, alright, fine. This man is 5,000 for me to steal from 2 to 2-1. Not a lot of money. So I get it 2-1. I continue to see me, but you know, after a while, I keep justifying and I forget who I'm becoming. And one of the greatest things that we must mind in life is always who we are becoming. Who are we becoming? And we don't know. Who are we 10 years ago? Who are we now? In becoming, it's so gradual that it's not something we can observe unless we take it in bundle of years. This is how corruption spreads. This is what makes it insidious. It starts with the small choices we make every day to continue to fuel and feed the system. The former cause or promoter of corruption, the economic advancement, I said there were two, is one that is more acute in a developing context. One we can all understand and almost justify, but it is still wrong. An example of this is when you bribe an official for a letter of posting, a letter of recommendation that will get you that job or that city you want to go, so that you can earn more and get ahead in life. Not too far off from a self-serving bribe. In developed countries where social services are provided, this is very obviously wrong. But in a country like Nigeria, everyone wants to get ahead. If you dare to criticize the person for giving a bribe, or another for giving a bribe, another will tell you that you have bad belly. Is it because you are not the one on that day? I tell you what, we actually believe that Allah has blessed a man who is corrupting an environment. You know, it's a very wealthy man. level 16. Everybody knows what the salary is. He doesn't, he's not a businessman, doesn't own a farm. He wears a Rolex. His children fly business class when they are going on Umrah or when they are going on Hajj. Not even when they are going on summer holiday. They are going on Hajj, on Umrah. You know, to go and worship Allah. How ridiculous. But it was stolen money. Or somebody meets him in Saudi, drops $25,000 on his lap. For what? Rakanis. Or buys his wife a tree of jewelry. For what? You don't understand. As a grown-up man, it's like me now. Somebody brings money to me. I visited the governor in December. I will not tell you this governor. With my wife. He invited us to dinner. But during the festivities. Not a party. Just his family having dinner with my family. And when we were going, we have 3 very young children. 9, 7, and 5.5. He gave them toys. And that was fine. And then there was this carrier bag. Cute, small. They had Heme, or what they call Heme, on the carrier bag. And he said, Madam, this is your own. I drove the family for holiday. Our drivers was to go on holiday. So I drove the family. And as soon as he saw us in the car, and I moved the car, I said to my wife, he's giving me money. And she said, no, it must be a perfume. I said, okay, I hear you, you refuse to hear me. And when we moved out of the government house, she was impatient. She just opened the thing and she saw money wrapped in the wrapper, a perfume. And I said, what denomination? She said, 1,000 naira. I said, yeah, that's 500,000. She gave you. He gave you. And she said, you can't give me money. I said, well, that's what you're carrying. And she said, doesn't he know I'm your wife? Now, I want you to follow this. She felt insulted that, being my wife, why would the governor give her money? In other words, my husband can give me enough. Why you insulting me? And she said, take, go and give back to the man. I said no. But I can drive you back there. Since he didn't give it to me, I can drive you back there and you can give it back to him. She said, can't do that. I said, so keep the money. Then it's not her money. I said, whatever you want to do with the money, make your plan with Allah and do it. She said, okay. He said, but she wants me to say yes to something. I said, if I know what it is, I will never follow you to his house again. I said, yes. I said, yes. I don't know what she did with money. It's not my own body. I mind that. I have no body to want to mind somebody else's body. But you know what? The money he gave my wife was not his money. Nobody spends his money that way. But unlike my wife, everybody would say, that governor, a fantastic person. All my wife said was that, does he not know that I'm the wife? In other words, why is he insulting us with that? Okay. It's just to give you, it's a way of life. You have to remain in the conscious because it is very easy to justify something unjustifiable. Why would anybody give you money? To do what? Do I do war? Have I asked according to chapter 2? No. Is it a ransom for my freedom? But we all take it and say the guy is nice. MSS has visited the governor of Gombe State, and when they were giving, he gave them money. If the money is for MSS, I understand. But why is he giving you money? Why do you want transportation money to my house? If you can't afford to come to my house, ask me. You cannot afford to come to your house. Can you help us with transportation? Then we know it's with the purpose. But you know, and how much is transport? That at the end of the day, I said, take 1 million naira for your transport. And then you all go, let us pray. You know, blah, 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 blah. I mean, I'm not an ulama, but I examine all this action, you know. And the man who says to himself, "Let us suffering. Is it by force to be in MSS? No. And therefore, by being the leader of MSS, now what entitles you to collecting contribution and distributing it? I was in a school called KURU. KURU is the judge, National Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. And they made me the Monitor General. I spent my time there not knowing, I'm more confused than I've ever been. And we will pay visits to governors, with brigadier, Major General, with commissioners of police, with permanent secretaries, and they will see us. And if the government did not extend, we will be looking for a DDC to say, we are not the enemy. Yeah. And then they will give us the money. I could never take my own portion. And they will come to me in my room and say, MG, that's what we call the Monitor General. Take it. Even if you give it to the mosque. I will say like this, I will give money like this to the mosque. How fast do I want to enter hell? You know, some will enter it slowly. But, you know, how fast do I want to get inside? I said no. By the time I'm giving that money to the mosque, there is my money. I cannot, you can go and give it to the mosque and explain yourself. You have to live in the consciousness every day. This thing I'm about to do, is it in line with what my religion suggests? Let me not lie to you. It is not easy. Stop. It is stop. And when you start seeing money beyond that which you earn, the easiest thing to get adjusted to is freebie. Money that is not yours, that is not in your control. You change your watch. You buy the next. You just keep misbehaving. But what I found is that they always go to things that you don't need. And then you ask yourself, is it worth it? But okay, this is not Jumada prayer, so I'm not preaching. An American psychologist David Myers stressed in his book entitled Exploring Social Psychology that nice people also become corrupted through excessive social pressures. Are you the only one? That man that acquired that seat before, see what it is for his brothers. Yeah. Basically, in developing countries, the people are always trying to accumulate money and want to be rich. Very rich persons by different means. In day-to-day practice, family members begin to put pressure on their children to get money by any means. Does this sound familiar? How many of you are facing family pressures to make it? Facing financial strife due to lack of public systems. So the pressures are many. Life is hard, and the small choices we make daily just to get by, do not ring in our ears as corrupt. They don't. They don't. So, you can understand why it is easy to buy books. Where a bag of rice for a family can make the difference between dying and living. That way. Just to put a piece of paper in the box, that's not a problem. What do I care? Bring the bag of rice. If you can understand the nature of corruption, it becomes easier to understand how to fight back, how to resolve it, how to solve it, and possibly how to cure Nigeria of this entrenched disease. I want to go quickly to Islam and corruption. You know, when I accept to come to places like this, I know they work with time, but I also work to be set the paper, so I want to bear with me to let me do what I was asked to do, and I accepted that I'm doing. Because in chapter 2, it also says that those who fulfill contracts, which ye have made, that's the contract that I made with them, let me fulfill it, please. Hopefully, some of these thoughts have led you to some new insights of corruption and its nature. From an abstractly moral, psychosocial perspective, let us look at the issue of corruption from the Islamic perspective. Here, I can only move from the micro, which I focused on, to the macro, which is the systemic level. Permit me to now offer a general definition of corruption. In the context of governance and public services, corruption is defined as the use of public office for private gain. The use of public office for private gain, or the use of official position, rank, or status by an office bearer for his own benefit. Do you understand? For his own benefit. There are consequences, and you have to be careful. People have died in the air before, in federal government planes, to which they are not entitled to. Then you just say to yourself, if only they are taking the one they are entitled to, maybe nobody knows. And the paper is not about judging anybody, it's just about sharing my thoughts with you. The definition covers the following: bribery, extortion, fraud, embezzlement, nepotism, cronyism, appropriation of public assets and property for private use, and influence peddling. In that sense, corrupt behaviors can be divided into two categories. One that is undertaken by the person in charge of the public office, such as fraud and embezzlement, and the second category, which involves an exchange between one or more persons, such as bribery and extortion. At the systemic level, corruption can be triggered by forms of institutional inefficiency, bureaucracy, political instability, and weak legislative and judicial systems. As I mentioned earlier, we all know that corruption affects governance and the effectiveness of public services, infrastructure, and development priorities. But the most relevant concern from an Islamic perspective is that it undermines the principle of justice, equality, and accountability. That is how the Quran sees corruption. Justice is the central value of Islamic teaching and is considered to be the foundation for all God's creation. According to the teachings of the Quran, any actions and deeds of mankind that flout justice is an act of corruption on earth. Chapter 16, verse 90. Verily, Allah commands justice, and ihsan, and giving to kindred, and forbids indecency, and forbidding things, and wrongful transgression. He has admonished you that you may take heed. Quran 16:90. Ihsan essentially means being of of one's best behavior. For while we cannot see Allah, He sees us always. Social justice is a central concept in Islam. In terms of how we conduct ourselves and live as Muslims on earth. Again, according to the glorious Quran, establishing justice has been the goal of all prophets and messengers of Allah. Chapter 57, verse 25 states, Verily, we sent our messengers to manifest signs and sent down with them the book and the balance that people may act with justice. These are not saying no. So, messengers were sent to us to tell us that which we already know in our hearts to be true. That each individual is called to promote and maintain social justice on earth. I'm not speaking out of sentiment. The Quran tells me that humankind is steward, Khalifa of God on earth. According to the teachings of the Quran, as the creator of everything, God is the ultimate owner of all that exists on earth. Allah la ilaha illa huwa al-Karim. We know that. We say, you know, before they say someone is that, say we see for the person. Okay. I don't see the heart, but the season. God offered the trust, responsibility, and guidance to the heavens, earth, and mountains before humankind. And humankind accepted it voluntarily with all the responsibility that it entails. This responsibility means that earth and its resources is a trust in God, and therefore humankind is accountable to God for all actions and deeds. We can also look at the example from the rightly guided Caliph. Abu Bakr's first khutbah set the tone for his stewardship. Now, O people, I have been made your ruler, though I am not the best among you. If I do what is right, support me. If I do what is wrong, set me right. Let the people not cease fighting in Allah's way, lest He abase them. This is Abu Bakr talking now. Let not evil practices arise among you, lest Allah bring punishment upon all of them. As Caliph, Abu Bakr did not buy a new house or build a new tent. All that he had as Caliph, he had on his deathbed, that to be returned to the treasury. If only a leader will be half as kind. The second rightly guided Caliph, Umar ibn al-Khattab, said in his second sermon to his people, O people, it is your duty, if I show certain evil qualities, to reprove me from them and for them. You must see that I do not exact from you any task or anything of what Allah has given you, except that which He allowed. You must see that when I have control of the money, nothing should be spent improperly. That's human asking for help from the human. The strength to combat corruption for this individual came from the depth of their faith and an understanding of their role as leaders and as stewards. That is actually one of the strengths of the following tenet, or following the tenets of Islam, being a steward. As holders of the trust, human beings are supposed to act as stewards on earth in applying justice. Social justice includes the fair and equitable distribution of wealth, the provision of basic necessities, the protection of the weak against economic exploitation by the strong. I have made references in all these readings. This was, for example, in Badawi, 1982. Islamic teachings envisage protecting the weak from the economic exploitation of the strong. For example, the prohibition of interest taking or riba in Islam. In the teaching of the Quran is meant to prevent the financially strong individual or institution from making profit from the needs and weaknesses of others. Chapter 11, verse 85 highlights the importance of applying justice, equity, honesty, and decency, and at the same time denounces corruption and instigation of disorder. Part of it says, give full measure and full weight with equity, and defraud not people of their things, and commit not iniquity in the act, causing disorder. That's from the Quran. In order to fulfill our role as stewards on earth, it is important for human beings to follow the moral framework laid down by Islam, which includes all the guidance and teachings that promote morality. This conformity reflects the concept of taqwa, the state of being pious, of God fearing. The root of the word is waqa, which means to preserve, protect, and safeguard. The characteristics of individuals who have taqwa are described as those who provide for the welfare of others with what God has bestowed upon them. Quran 2, verse 3. Those who are generous with their wealth, in favorable as well as in adverse circumstances, and who become a source of tranquility and comfort to people. Those who quickly correct any wrong or indecency. That they are committed and refrain from willfully persisting in error. Quran chapter 3, verses 133 to 135. Those who fear the approaching hour of accountability, the day of judgment. Quran 21, 48, 49. Those without taqwa are criminals. Quran 19, 85, 26. Those who stray from God's guidance. Quran 38 to 38. Quran 38, verse 28. Causing social stroke ethical astray. Quran 91, 8. And those who transgress the divine limits. Quran 5, verse 2. So, in our religion, the concept of corruption is essentially the misuse of entrusted power. Corruption, nepotism, and abuse of office are manifestations of injustice. We as human beings are entrusted with the responsibility to be caretakers of this world and to promote justice. Thus, an abuse of our powers and strength to subvert this responsibility is corruption. Taqwa provides the foundation for ethical transparency and accountability in all humankind's deeds and saying beyond the power of the legal system and the enforcement of laws and procedures. It addresses individual behavior and confers individual responsibility to bring about an ideal just society. So for me, only those who fear God stay away from corruption. Call to action. If you haven't noticed, there is a trend in this speech focusing on individual accountability and responsibility. While corruption manifests itself as a systemic challenge, it is thus because of the numerous individual acts of corruption. Thus, it is only befitting that I also talk about the individual action against corruption and what each of us in this room can do about it. Quran 2, verse 251 instigates that fighting the spread of corruption is a collective duty. And it says, and if Allah had not enabled people to defend themselves against one another, corruption will surely overwhelm the earth. Quran 2, verse 251. Of course, the title of my paper is not the role of individuals, but the role of the youth. So, why the youth? What is so special about everyone in this room who is under 40? Who are 40 is calling themselves youth? I mean under 30. The first few years of the 2010 saw an increase in youth activism through the global south. In India, youth born between 1980 and 1990 comprised part of the middle class increasingly vocal against impunity for rapists and against government corruption. In Venezuela, university students constituted a primary well-trusted and established political force. Youth grew central to the 2011 Egyptian revolution and the 1856 movement. People within this age group are known as the millennials of Generation Y, born between the late 70s and the early 2000s. This generation is an interesting one. It is the generation of the Apple computer and Steve Jobs. It is the generation of rampant mobile phones in Nigeria. It is the generation of PC and technology. We are also the generation of entitlement, idealism, tolerance, skepticism of authority figures and civic minded. You reject social convention, seeking to place new unconventional things. Your generation tends to be more civic minded and more tolerant, less tribalist in orientation. Your tolerance makes you more welcoming of others from different tribes and races. Your civic mindedness and idealism makes you less tolerant of societal aims. Your sense of attachment leads you to demand better service delivery from the government. In short, you guys and girls are the new wave of change this country desperately needs. And yet, why are the crime of corruption not engaged in Muslim mind with the same intensity as other issues in the Sharia? Islamic teachings oblige all Muslims to enjoy justice and good deeds and to oppose corruption and wrongdoing. We should all be able to point to the one thing in our life that enables us to fulfill this mandate. This is my call to action for everyone in this room. If we follow the tenets of our faith, not with extremist and intolerant hard rules, but understanding the spirit of social justice, it is possible to drive positive change through peaceful means. If people continue to pay bribes, if people continue to complain in private but not in public, to make those small choices in favor of corruption, then corruption will never leave us. Corruption will always be with us. The final thought I leave you with is from Quran, chapter 13, verse 11. Allah does not change what is with the people unless they change themselves. Thank you very much. سبحان ربك رب العزة عما يصفون والسلام على المرسلين والحمد لله رب العالمين.